Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, super intelligent, hard-working Mickey and Minnie Mouse-loving wife and co-host, Michelle.
Thank you, sweetie. And I want to send out a shout of admiration for you for all the wonderful things you do and how brave and strong you were with round 2 of a COVID vaccine.
I wasn't that brave or that strong, but Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. I did, yes, get my round 2, my second dose of the Moderna COVID vaccine. I got that on Friday and, kind of went through the rigmarole yesterday. It wasn't that bad for me. I got a little lucky in the symptoms. I had a little bit of some pain, a small fever last night, but it really wasn't that bad. So I kind of made it through. And I'll have to say, we did hear something about that possibly, now again, this is not a medical thing. We just heard rumors that maybe some Gatorade before you get the shot, some Gatorade after you get the shot on your second dose might help you. I did that. My symptoms were much lower than yours.
Right,
so, your mileage may vary, but you may want to, if you are going to get the vaccine and get your second shot, you may want to take that into account.
Right. I guess it can't hurt.
It can't hurt, I mean,
Unless you're
like
diabetic, but
that's true. Can't guarantee anything. And we don't know if it's the electrolytes, the potassium, whatever that's within Gatorade, or if it does nothing at all and it's just all in our minds. But again, what could it hurt to,
exactly.
again, to give that a shot? And it worked for me, but it seemed to work for me anyway.
Yeah, since I didn't do it and I suffered. So, but you're also stronger than me.
I
so.
am not, but you are way, way stronger than me, but I appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much. So, by the way, we are recording this episode on Sunday, March 14th, 2021. Happy Pie Day.
Happy Pie Day.
Yes. I like pie. Pie is nice.
It is.
Pie is good. Tell me there's a bad pie out there. Come on.
Probably not. No, none that comes to mind. But beware the Ides of March.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, of course, Pi Day 3.14, which is pi.
Right.
For the geeks like us out there. So that's why it is National Pie Day, and everybody's taking it from the math term to I'd like a slice of pie.
Right. Why wouldn't you? It all goes back to food.
Pie is good, yes. Thank you for joining us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you will have the opportunity to sign up for our newsletter.
Please sign up for the newsletter. It's just another way to be kind of in touch with us, be more in the Hyperion Adventures podcast, know more in our world. We kind of get some things out there to you early for those of you who have signed up for the newsletter, but we just, enjoy being more involved with you. And another way that we enjoy being involved with you is out on social media. Please follow us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel. We are putting a lot of these episodes out there on YouTube for you to enjoy that way as well. Now, last week's episode was more of a simple video in that we did not actually videotape ourselves, or I did not do a lot of editing to it. It was pretty much the title card and the audio for this podcast. And this week is probably going to be the same thing. Now, there's a reason for that, and we can't really discuss it right at this moment. We have some things going on.
Just projects.
That are taking up a lot of my time that I don't have to put into the video editing, but we will have that out there if you prefer to kind of listen to this podcast through YouTube. And we will return eventually to putting out there recordings of us spliced with pictures that talk about what we're discussing to kind of enhance it and whatever else. We just need to get through some things that we're working through right now.
Yeah, and you do a great job at supplementing the topics with some informative pictures and things. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And but again, if you prefer to listen to the show through YouTube, that is a way to do it still. These episodes still will be going up probably on Tuesday or Wednesday through YouTube. Another way you can always be in contact with us is to hit us up on our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
We love hearing from you, whether it be questions or requests for items or just to say hi. It's always nice hearing from people.
Suggestions of topics, responses to any of our topics.
Right.
We're going to have another one coming up next week that I think we're going to want expect some responses for that you'll be involved with, and we're looking forward to that. And one of the easiest ways to kind of be involved with that is by just hitting us up on our Gmail account. Now, as for today's show, we have lots of stuff for you this week, including the Walt Disney Company shareholders meeting took place this week, and it included a few interesting announcements. We'll talk a lot about those. And there's a new convenient way coming for you to navigate the Walt Disney World Parks. We'll talk about that as well. And I believe Michelle is going to go over a topic we couldn't quite get to last week because our episode ran a little long, but we're going to talk a little bit about some of the food that can be found at the Taste of Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well because we're always hungry during these episodes.
And you're correct. I'll cover some of that.
Cool. So, but let's get to our main topic of the week. So yes, this week's main topic is all going to be about the mice that started it all. Yes, the mice that started it all. Of course, the big cheese himself, Mickey, but also another one of our favorites, Minnie Mouse. And we're going to talk all about this. And because of the fact that I just had my second dose of the COVID vaccine and I needed to relax a little bit over the last 24 plus hours, we decided that, Michelle actually didn't decide. Michelle stepped up and said, you know what, I'll take this episode, do my usual wonderful research that she does, and dive deeply into the history of Mickey and Minnie Mouse and explore their history, some of the fun facts, maybe some stories. I'm interested to hear what Michelle has dug up for us about the mice that started it all. So take it away, Michelle.
All right. Well, thank you, honey. And, I know that a lot of times during their birthday celebrations, a lot of information comes out about the history of them. And I thought, well, a lot of people already know a lot of these things. So what can I find that might be a little bit more unusual or lesser known tidbits and facts about them? So this may not be as long as actually some of our other deep dives because, again, our listeners are pretty knowledgeable about the company, about Mickey and Minnie and their history. So it's just some things to supplement those informational pieces that people have already heard about.
Makes sense because, especially like last year, a couple years ago, Mickey hit 90 and, a lot of information came out about them. I actually think that, unfortunately, Mickey, there's a lot of been dived into Mickey. Minnie, maybe not as much as she deserves, and so I'm hoping we're going to get to hear some more Minnie Mouse stuff today as well.
A little bit about that as well.
Cool.
Yes. All right. So to start off with, I thought, why not find out Walt's thoughts of Mickey and Minnie or whatever. And so he actually did an essay titled What Mickey Means to Me in 1948. And this is a quote from that. Well, Walt said, "He popped out of my mind onto a drawing pad 20 years ago on a train ride from Manhattan to Hollywood at a time when the business fortunes of my brother Roy and myself were at their lowest ebb and disaster seemed right around the corner." So I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And I know that we've all heard the story of how Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was stolen from Walt and Roy and really had set a devastating blow to the company and the potential of it being the end of the company. But it was this train ride that when Walt decided to return from New York to Hollywood to talk to Roy and maybe kind of regroup and figure out what next plans were. Interestingly, Walt did send a telegram to Roy, who was in Hollywood, just to let him know when he was arriving, to pick him up. And in it, he just simply indicated that he's, when he's going to arrive. And here's a quote, said, "Don't worry, everything okay." And, it just kind of showed the love that Walt had for his brother, trying to ease his brother, knowing Roy was the business side of the company. But we do know that at that time, the start of the train ride, things weren't all okay.
No. No, things were kind of a mess. They got thrown for a loop for sure.
Right, exactly. But, we've also heard that on that train ride, Walt did create the iconic mouse that would eventually become the world's most well-known, famous mouse ever.
Yes.
At that time. And so,
I still think ever. I mean, you can talk about a couple other mice that are out there, but I don't think anyone is even close to surpassing Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse for that matter.
Sure. And in fact, in some of my research, and I'm really not going to delve into the marketing part of it, but it was interesting to see or hear from people who have gone to very remote places of the world, whether it be to, research a film or just vacationing or whatever, and always be so surprised that they see somebody in a Mickey shirt somewhere, like I said, even in the most remote parts of the world that you wouldn't expect knowledge of Mickey Mouse to even be there.
Right. You have a little theory about that, don't
you?
Yeah.
I do. My theory is if you're ever, there may be some exceptions to this in terms of like if you're at a business meeting and it is business attire, but in public, if you're in an area that has 20 or more people, my theory is somebody will have some kind of a Disney attire on.
And that's all thanks to the mice that started it all, right?
Exactly. So, kind of figuring out when did they start? Obviously the idea came during that train ride, but Walt started with a couple films. The first two weren't really considered big enough for distributors to take on. We know the first one obviously was Plain Crazy, and Minnie was in that one as well. As she gave Mickey a good luck charm for that. So, but it was the third film. The third one's a charm, right? Steamboat Willie, that premiered on November 18th in 1928. In fact, that film was considered actually to cause a lot more popularity than the film that it was actually the prequel of, at the theater. So for that, Walt received $1,000 for a 2-week run, which is the highest sum ever paid for a cartoon on Broadway at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So Walt Disney Studios, with its small but very loyal staff, were able to be saved, and this iconic mouse was born.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah. And the world changed right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But then it kind of, you wonder, when really was Mickey born? Like what is, the birth date, right? So his official birthday actually changed from year to year following 1928 release of Steamboat Willie, and sometimes it was because of different celebrations or promotions in the company. But in 1933, Walt proclaimed that Mickey Mouse will be 5 years old on Sunday, October 1st. He was born on October 1st, 1928. That was the date on which his first picture was started. So we have allowed him to claim this day as his birthday. That's a quote. So Walt considered Mickey's birthday on October 1st. But that date really didn't stick. Like I mentioned, with different promotions and everything, sometimes it was as early as September, sometimes as late as December. But in 1978, Dave Smith, the founder of the Disney Archives, actually determined that the premiere of Steamboat Willie was truly Mickey Mouse's first public appearance, therefore his date of birth.
There you go.
There you go.
Now you know.
And of course, we know Minnie Mouse, who was also in there, was then considered born on that date as well.
Right. And Pete, for that matter.
That is true.
Pete is also in that film. It's all their birthdays. The first Disney villain, Pete.
Right. Yeah. Peg-Leg Pete.
Peg-Leg Pete.
Yes. So, good point. So is this sounding too like a class, like lesson, take notes? I'm going to give you a quiz. No stuff. Quiz at the end.
That's fascinating stuff I didn't know.
Really?
Sure.
All right.
So
cool.
I'm sure our listeners feel the same way.
Well, let's move along for a couple other things then. So Mickey first referred to Minnie Mouse as his girlfriend in a song from 1929's Mickey Follies. The song's title is actually Minnie's Yoo-Hoo, and in it, the lyrics has where he says, "Got a sweetie, she's my little Minnie Mouse."
Ah, cute.
So, yeah, so that's where he, first introduced that song, which kind of has been linked to Mickey, ever since. And that song was actually co-written by Walt himself, along with Carl Stalling, who helped develop the Silly Symphonies.
Mm-hmm.
And then he eventually became the primary composer and music director for Looney Tunes.
Mm. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what is there a cuter couple? I mean,
No.
obviously the original Disney couple, but they are just so adorable
They
together,
are.
Mickey and Minnie together, so in love with one another, and they're couples goals for sure.
That's
you
true.
know?
That is true. And thankfully, the company continues to recognize the importance of that relationship. So, anyways, and Minnie, actually, her role has never been like a starring role. She's been more the impetus of Mickey and what he was trying to do. But that didn't mean she doesn't show that she can be very independent on her
for sure.
own, right?
For sure.
Yeah, and she's actually been in some of her own shorts, but not a feature film. And so we see that she can get along without Mickey. It's just that they're, like you said, they're cute
They're
together.
cute together. They're best when they're together. But one thing I'll say, and this is separate from the history and the stories you're talking about here, is like when you go to the parks and you're meeting characters,
Right.
like, and you have your choice of meeting Mickey, who's great. I love
Right.
meeting Mickey when you're in the parks. But if you have the chance, but it's like, okay, you can either meet Mickey or you can meet Minnie.
Right.
You always go with Minnie because she is the best. She treats you so well. She's adorable. She's loving.
is.
She is the best character. Well, I don't know if she's the best character
Right.
to me at the parks, but she's definitely up there. And between the two of them, I'd meet Minnie every single
Right.
day if I could.
I know. And eventually it was in 1986 that the company realized they really needed to recognize Minnie a little bit more. And they actually proclaimed that the year of Minnie in 1986. Nice. So they kind of gave her that recognition. She also has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I've seen that star, yeah.
Really? Okay, so her and Mickey, and as well as some others, but it was great that she also got that notoriety that she certainly deserved. And it's great how they really have shown how she can become very much the fashionista and styling, and we love her clothes.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I mean, her outfits are adorable. They're great every single time. She nails it every single outfit that she wears.
Exactly.
It's perfect. I also love the fact that Disney recently, just within the last couple years, elevated her to, we've had Captain Mickey aboard Disney Cruise Line since it began.
Right.
Now we also have Captain Minnie.
That's a good point.
And that is well deserved. I'm glad that we have Minnie Mouse in a rightful spot as a captain of the Disney cruise ships when we get to board again, and when we boarded in the last couple of years. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. And I am currently wearing my Besame Cosmetic Minnie Mouse lipstick.
Oh.
It might be called Mickey Mouse.
No, it's
Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
MM.
It's Minnie. It's got to be Minnie.
But did you know that Minnie Mouse actually had a boyfriend before Mickey Mouse?
I've heard a little something about this.
All right. Yeah. He was actually introduced in the 1936 short Mickey's Rival, his name being Mortimer. And he actually comes on the scene in that film, crashing kind of a cute little picnic Mickey and Minnie were enjoying. But, he does claim, he says to her, well, if it ain't my old sweetie Minnie Mouse. So kind of giving some recognition to that. They were before a thing, a couple, and Minnie didn't dispute that. In fact, she actually kind of told Mickey at one point when he seemed to be upset about the situation that he was jealous. So, but she quickly loses interest in that film when he gets a bull enraged and actually puts Minnie's life on the line.
Oh my goodness!
I know. So hero Mickey saves the day. Of
course he does. Of course he does. Interesting thing about Mortimer, right, is that
Go for it.
This is obvious. This is well known history about Mickey is that Walt originally wanted Mickey to be named Mortimer, and there's a little bit in dispute of why it was changed, but most of the notes say that it was actually Lily, Walt's wife, who said no, that name doesn't work. You should try something different.
Right.
Try Mickey, and Mickey ended up sticking.
Right.
And so that's why it's funny that now Minnie's ex was named Mortimer, the villain. That name's no good. That's a bad name, Mortimer. That's the bad guy.
Exactly. And some of the things I was reading was funny. And of course, everything's true on the internet, right? But like how Mortimer was the alter ego of Walt. I don't know. I think it's more like you said, it was the original concept name for Mickey until it was revived. And like you said, so much more has been said about Lillian being the person who inspired the name Mickey.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Well, speaking of Mickey and Minnie and names and et cetera, let's get into some of the voices and the voice actors involved in these two iconic characters. And I know a lot of people already know that Walt was the original voice of Mickey. He was also the original voice of Minnie Mouse. What he actually wrote about voicing Mickey is, and this is a quote, "The life and ventures of Mickey Mouse have been closely bound up with my own personal and professional life. He still speaks for me, and I still speak for him." So it made sense. He was the founding voice of Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah.
Right. But they did eventually get voice actors to become involved in taking on those roles, especially as Walt became more involved with some other aspects of the company. So do you know who the first one was after Walt?
I know I've heard it somewhere, but I have forgotten.
Jimmy McDonald.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So he was the voice of Mickey actually from 1947 to 1977. A long time, 30 years, I guess. Yeah. And he had previously been the head of the sound and effects department until he took over that role. So he was already involved in the company. Following him was Wayne Allwine from 1977 to 2009. And he also was in the sounds effect department prior to getting that role. And I actually have a little story to share about him later on in this episode.
Cool.
So, but currently there are actually two voice characters for Mickey Mouse.
Really?
Yeah. So one is Brett Iwan.
And
He's
the one that I know of.
Right. So he took on in 2009 after Allwine's passing. He was supposed to be the understudy, but he actually never did get to meet Mr. Allwine. He first recorded Mickey's dialogue for actually Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park, and he's also done voices for Mickey on the Disney on Ice celebrations and Disney Live Rock and Roll show. And he can also be heard on one of our favorite attractions, which is the Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover.
That's right.
Right. So there is a point in there as you're going through Star Traders that Mickey responds to the dialogue with saying, "That's right, it's out of this world," which is really a poor Mickey Mouse. And the other voice actor for Mickey right now is Christopher Diamantopoulos. And he is an actor and voice actor. He's also done some voice acting for Disney through DuckTales at their reboot that is currently going on. So those two kind of are taking the role. He stepped in 2013 and is also still currently a voice of Mickey Mouse.
Interesting. I had no idea that there was a second voice. I knew of Brett Iwan, but I did not know of the... I'm sorry. I'll let you pronounce his name because I can't recall it.
Diamantopoulos.
Good enough.
It's a Greek name, and I'm sorry if I said it wrong.
No, I had no idea, and I think that's very fascinating. Yeah,
right,
they have two guys doing it right now.
Right, and it wasn't really clear in a lot of the things I was researching as how they distinguish who will do what for what. I know that that what I did read is Christopher's voice is more synchronized to sounding like Walt's original voice of Mickey Mouse. That was just something I saw out there. I don't know, if that is actually true, but that is what I did read. So.
Cool.
And that actually, Brett Iwan did have some issues with the tone of his voice and how it did need to get adjusted for some of the sounds of Mickey. So, all right. Next is Minnie Mouse, right?
Nice.
So,
yes.
Again, Walt was her original voice, as well as some other staff members from the Disney studios. But in the early 30s, and I hope I say her name right, Marcelite Garner from the ink and paint department took over. And she was succeeded by some other department staff until Russi Taylor, who I think was the most well-known and more consistent voice for Minnie Mouse, took over. And she had that role for 33 years.
Yeah, long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Until she passed away in 2019. And so now currently Caitlin Robrock who is also an established voice actor and has done some things for Disney, and born here in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she provides the voice for Minnie Mouse.
Nice. The local girl's doing well.
I know
Yeah.
it. I know it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever wondered the story behind the relationship of these two mice?
I think about it often at night. So what is the story behind the relationship of Mickey and Minnie Mouse? How did they meet? How did they get together? Are they married? I need to know.
Okay, and I have an answer for you, at least in terms of their relationship. And this actually comes from Walt again himself. So in September 30th, in the year 1933, an issue of the Film Pictorial magazine came out where Walt Disney addressed that very topic. And here's a quote from him. In private life, Mickey is married to Minnie. A lot of people have written to him asking this question because sometimes he appears to be married to her in the films and other times still courting her. What is really amounts to is that Minnie is, for screen purposes, his leading lady. If the story calls for a romantic courtship, then Minnie is the girl. But when the story requires a married couple, then they appear as man and wife. In the studio, we have decided they are married already.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, that they are, there are actors who get off the screen and they are out there, they're married to one another, but they get on the screen. Sometimes they have to be attracted to other people. That never happens with Mickey and Minnie. They're always attracted to each other.
Right.
But it still needs to play that role of, hey, we're going through this. It's a date night. We're not quite sure how the relationship is going, but when they get home into the night, they're in love just like any other married couple.
Exactly. So I loved how Walt kind of framed it. It's just, they are, she'll play the role that is written into the storyline, but in real life, they're married.
Yes.
So cool. So cool.
Yes, of course. And they should be.
Exactly.
They're perfectly matched for one another.
Exactly. So before I wrap up, anything else you want to kind of bring up about Mickey and Minnie?
No, I think I've brought up a few things already that I've been thinking about. But no, that was it was good information here. A lot of stuff I had no idea of.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So I just kind of want to finish off with a couple other little tidbits, kind of more focused on how these two actually just transcend the actual characters that they play or that we see them as, whether it be cartoon characters or characters in the parks or any of the Disney locations. So one of them, though, is the first one. And it's a simple concept, but if you think about it, it means a lot. These two characters really allow anybody at any age to really touch the child within themselves. And I don't care how cool a teenager is, when Mickey and Minnie are around, they melt and they want to get a picture with them, or and they feel free to be a kid again. And we can, like I said, we can say that about any age, and obviously the little ones, the younglings, adore these characters as well. But it's just amazing how their heart really brings out for anybody that goes around them that joy and happiness of feeling like a child again.
Yeah, definitely agree. That's the way I feel. That's for sure. Whenever they're around, it's like, I'm starstruck.
Right,
By both
exactly.
of them. I love them both. They're both adorable. They treat you very well whenever you meet with them. But it's like I'm like hey,
I know you just get like silly giddy, right?
Yeah, I can't believe it's Minnie. I can't believe it's Mickey. I'm so lucky. Yeah.
So very cool. Walt's wife Lillian actually admitted after he passed away that she really struggled seeing any of the cartoons, the early cartoons, because Mickey really did remind her of Walt and the personality of Walt she saw in Mickey. So that was, kind of a touching story. And finally, the most romantic piece of trivia that I came across was the fact that the voice for Minnie, which was, as I said, Russi Taylor, actually married the person who did the voice for Mickey, which was Wayne Allwine. And it's just so cute that even the people doing the voice saw the love in each other and came together and got married.
Yeah, it's amazing. I remember hearing that story a while back, and it was just that I thought I was fascinated by
right?
it and how cool that is. That not only obviously the characters were a couple,
right?
But the voice actors portraying them for so long,
right? Exactly.
were also romantically involved, and I just think that's amazing.
I
think it comes through on the screen as well.
Right. True. So, anyways, so that is my deep dive into Mickey and Minnie. Like I said, I tried not to be repetitive on a lot of the more common information about the two, but hopefully people enjoyed this.
Yeah, I think it's they're such fascinating characters, and you, as always, did a great job of bringing out a lot of stuff that I didn't have any. I mean, I think I've looked into Mickey a lot, and I wish I would have looked into Minnie a little bit more because she deserves to be looked into. But I think for Mickey's 90th, we did an episode that was focused on him a little bit more, and I kind of did some studying on him a little bit at that point, so I knew a few things. But you still dug up stuff that I had no clue about. So Michelle's research is always the best research.
Oh, thank you.
Great job, Michelle. Great job,
thank
sweetheart.
You. Appreciate it.
And so that's our look at Mickey and Minnie, the mice that started it all. We'd love to know what you think about Mickey and Minnie. Are there facts that you know that are interesting that you'd like to share with us? What do you have interactions or memories involved with meeting them or seeing some of their cartoons or whatever that really have impacted you during your life? Do you believe in Michelle's theory that somewhere within 20 people they're dressed casually, there's someone dressed in Walt Disney attire thanks to Mickey Mouse, essentially, or Mickey and Minnie? We'd love to know all of this, so please hit us up at our Gmail account, social media, whatever it is. So again, Michelle, great job.
Thank you. And one of the things I did forget to mention is something that I really couldn't pinpoint as a fact through a very a reliable source, was that Minnie's first name may have been Minerva. I did see that in a lot of locations, but none of them that I said for sure would be 100% factual. But that is something that has been tossed around as well.
Another interesting note, another interesting fun fact from Michelle, whether it's a fact or not, possible fact.
Right.
Theory.
Anyway, that is Michelle's deep dive. Again, another great job by Michelle.
Thank you.
That is Mickey and Minnie, the mice that started it all. Yes, love Mickey, love Minnie so much. So glad that you couldn't pick better faces of a company than the two mice that we discussed here. And Michelle, again, thank you for doing such a great job. And give me a time to put my feet up and relax here as I recover from my second shot of the Moderna vaccine.
Well, I had fun doing the research, and like I said at the beginning, you were much braver and stronger than I was. I was wimp.
Not at all. Michelle is much stronger than me every single day. Every single day, she is much stronger, and they're definitely the rock in this household for sure. So let's get to the Disney stories of the week. We have a few for you this week, and I'm going to start with the Walt Disney Company shareholder meeting that took place this week, and it contains several interesting announcements. I think there's still a lot in flux, so there wasn't a lot of definitive definitive things that were put out there, but there was some kind of nuance, some things that kind of to get excited about that were brought up in this meeting. And we're going to talk about a few of them right here.
Yeah. The funny thing about this, I was so involved with trying to get the link to watch it is that I forgot to vote.
That's right. We are shareholders.
And I forgot to submit my vote. I had the page up and I was like, okay, but first, how do I get to the link? So, oh well.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Michelle, we have to get you out there rocking the vote.
I know, exactly.
Anyway, so let's get to some of these topics that they went over in the shareholder meeting, some of the major ones. There was a lot of stuff kind of broached, but just some of the maybe more important ones. And we'll start with something pretty local to us, and that is Disneyland is ramping up toward reopening sometime next month. Yeah. Here's what Disney CEO Bob Chapek had to say about it during the meeting. He said, quote, "Here in California, we're encouraged by the positive trends we're seeing, and we're hopeful they'll continue to improve, and we'll be able to reopen our parks to guests with limited capacity by late April."
Yay.
We look forward to publicizing an opening date in coming weeks. While last week's announcement stated that theme parks may open starting April 1, the fact is it will take some time to get them ready for guests. This includes recalling more than 10,000 furloughed cast and retraining them to be able to operate according to the state of California's new requirements. I am pleased to say the response has been great thus far, and our cast members are excited to get back to work. And this is also good news for the Anaheim community, which depends on Disneyland for jobs and business generated by visitors, end quote. So Disneyland, they're going to take some time to get this reopened, want to make sure they get things right. But more importantly, this is great that more than 10,000 cast members are going to have the chance to come back and work at the happiest place on earth once again.
I know. It's just great news. Like you said, mainly for the cast members who are going to be able to reclaim their jobs there, and for the public in general to really have some times to go back to some normalcy and fun and having that experience here on the West Coast.
Yes, and also huge news, as Bob Chapek mentioned there, for the businesses around Disneyland itself. Now, if you only know Walt Disney World, obviously, of course, it affects other businesses when Walt Disney World was closed in and around Orlando. But it's not the same as Disneyland, because Disneyland is surrounded by hotels and restaurants. I mean, just right there within easy walking distance. And they've all been significantly affected by the lack of tourists nearby. And of course, just people coming in from nearby communities as well, just because they haven't had the extra reason to be there. So this will be huge for all of them.
Right, definitely. Because even though there's a lot to see in LA or Hollywood, that location itself may not have more draw than Disneyland there.
For sure.
So.
I agree with that. So again, no definitive date was put out yet. I've heard some rumors of around April 8th, 28th, 29th, but that's just rumors, nothing definitive yet. I did notice that an announcement came out from another nearby theme park, Knott's Berry Farm, that they're talking about opening in May, actually. So we'll see what happens with that. But really interesting stuff, and just excited that we're on the path to get Disneyland reopened once again.
And DVC announced actually before last week that they were reopening the Grand California Resort on May 2nd.
That's great news as well.
Yeah, so kind of all synchronized.
Again, looked into it and tried to see about if there were any rooms available, and they were pretty booked up solid, at least early on. But you never know. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
But that's all great news that more things will be reopening very soon.
Very exciting news. Can't wait.
Very excited to get back to Disneyland hopefully soon.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be quite an experience trying to get those tickets.
Right. Right now they're saying that at least to begin with, it may only be 15% capacity. That is very low. Even if Orange County moves into the other tier, an extra tier, then 25% capacity, which was what Walt Disney World opened up at to begin with. It's still going to be tight to get, especially with all the people that are located in Southern California battling for those reservations. I would imagine there'll be to get in there. It will be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just like a taste of Disney, how that was quite a challenge for people. I talked to several people who did get tickets for that, and how that was quite a challenge.
Yeah. But we'll see when they gets announced and what the process is like.
Yeah.
Either way, just mostly excited for the cast members to be able to get back to work, but also for our chance to possibly get back there and visit again, because we're really missing Disneyland a lot. Now, the other big story that was officially announced, it was an official announcement that was about a highly anticipated new Walt Disney World attraction, when that will be opening. This from the Disney Parks blog. Everyone's favorite little chef is cooking up something really big for Walt Disney World Resort's 50th anniversary, because the grand opening of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure at Epcot is set for October 1st of this year. That is the birth date of Walt Disney World.
That's exciting news. I know that it's a challenge when people want new things, and so much was announced prior to the pandemic. But this is great that for the actual celebration, all the parks are being involved, and this is going to be an amazing attraction to start on that very special day.
I think it's interesting because many people are like, wow, I can't believe we have to wait so long for it to be open. But I think, one thing I feel like Disney wants to get this thing right. I've heard some people complain out there that maybe they rushed, say, Rise of the Resistance, and it's had some struggles to begin with some hiccups and not running as well. It seems like it's running better now. They're getting more and more boarding groups in on a day-by-day basis, it seems. Let's get this thing right. And it also helps on, look, there's going to be a lot of people there for the birthday celebration. A lot of people are going to be heading to Magic Kingdom, of course, but this will maybe draw some people over to Epcot as well. So it kind of evens things out a little bit. And it is a big announcement. I think there are going to be more big announcements of things that are going to be open either immediately before or around that birthday celebration, but they just kind of have to be sure, know what things are going to be happening with this pandemic, how everything is going, how the herd immunity is coming, how the vaccination process is coming and everything, before they can just say definitively, this is opening and this is opening and this is opening. So we'll just kind of see how things go. But back to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. They say in this delicious new attraction, you'll feel like you've shrunk to the size of Chef Remy as you scurry through Gusteau's famous restaurant on a wild adventure for the whole family. No height requirement. Based on Disney and Pixar's Academy Award-winning Ratatouille, the experience will be part of the newly expanded France Pavilion inside Epcot that will also open on October 1st, and that includes La Crêperie de Paris, a new restaurant offering both table and quick service options. The menu will feature sweet crepes, savory buckwheat galettes, naturally gluten-free those are, and the authentic French hard cider. So looking forward to it. We kind of tried to peek over the wall. If you go on the Skyliner, you can get a little glimpse into there as you're going by it. And it looks like it's going to be a beautiful addition to the France Pavilion for sure.
Right. Yeah. And I was reading how they were really, getting into the details to make sure that is, once it's open, visually appealing and makes sense within the whole area, especially coming from the skyline. So they're looking at every detail of this to make it a very special experience for people.
All right. And and if this is anything like the attraction in the Remy attraction, the Ratatouille attraction that's in Disneyland Paris, I'm not going to give everything away, but it's a great attraction, but there are some interesting things within the queue that you're going to love when you get in there. Some animation, some other things that are a lot of fun and will bring you right into the story of Ratatouille. So,
and the attraction itself is a blast.
Yeah.
It's so adorable.
Look forward to it. It's going to be a good time when it comes open on October 1st. Maybe there'll be some soft openings before that. We'll see. But definitely October 1st is when we will have the chance to ride that attraction. We are going to be there on October 1st.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to Epcot. We are going to Magic Kingdom to celebrate the birthday there. But we are going to be in Disney in Walt Disney World on October 1st.
Excited. Yes. Got our hotel.
Yes. We're ready to go. So a few other interesting things that came out of the meeting. Bob Chapek said essentially if things go right, they're hoping
Disney Cruise Line could be sailing again by the fall of this year. Now, there's a lot of steps that need to happen. They even said, I think he kind of said, we need to be a little lucky on things.
Right.
But that is what he's hoping for, that by the fall, Disney Cruise Line could be sailing again.
Yeah, I mean, that's great news. Also, obviously for the Disney company, but for other cruise lines and for people who like that type of vacationing like we do, it's great that is going to be something that we can again experience in the future.
I did also see a posting by by Disney Cruise Line blog, who does a great job with all things Disney Cruise, that he's found a casting announcement, people come in and audition for a job with Disney Cruise Line. They're looking for face characters essentially for there. So the fact that they're bringing people in to audition, start, getting, working through the process and everything now, it means that they feel like this is on the horizon.
Some real momentum. Yeah. And as we've talked about in some of our other episodes, specifically about Disney Cruise Entertainment, that, they really do take several months to, whether they're preparing for a production, is getting people up to speed with, all the blocking and acting and everything. And obviously working with the most unique sets for theater that you could ever imagine.
Plus just being out on the concourse, guest experiences and everything else. I mean, there's so much involved with that that you have to play a part in when you are one of these characters aboard a Disney Cruise Line, for sure. So a couple other stories. They are hoping to reinstate the Disney College program by the end of the year.
Nice.
So that'd be great for a lot of people out there. I even, someone questioned Bob Chapek about the fact that, look, normally I would have been available for this and I was looking forward to it, but because it got shut down for a while, I may age out of this by the time you reopen it. Could I possibly be grandfathered in, essentially? And Bob Chapek said they're going to look into that. So even if you were possibly going to be aged out of this and you were interested in this program, there is hope for you still that this might come around for you. We'll see about that. And finally, and in less than a year and a half after its launch, Disney Plus has surpassed 100 million subscribers. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Far beyond their expectations of what Disney Plus would have done. So that's really great.
Really
news.
Impressive, yes.
So very cool stuff that came out of the shareholders meeting this week. And there was more stuff too, but those were kind of the biggest things.
Right. And like you and I were talking, outside of the podcast here, is that, they did have that shareholders day.
The Disney Investor Day.
Disney Investors Day, yes, excuse me, thanks. In that a lot of things were discussed there. So it was a little bit less, of an impact with this set of announcements.
Right. I think a lot of that was, there was a lot of television shows, a lot of movie announcements, and you can kind of be more firm on those. I mean, obviously we're still in flux with COVID and everything else and the pandemic and whether these can hit the timelines they're setting, but you could be a little bit more assured of that. Things around the parks, what capacity is, when they can start opening up like nighttime spectaculars again, parades, stuff like that. They still got to kind of pull back on the reins a little bit and be sure that, we are safe. Everybody's going to be in a good position before we can start making definitive announcements about when those things will be reopening. But they are obviously, we've seen the pictures, some videos that they're working on Harmonious out there at Epcot. They are obviously working towards that goal. It's just a matter of when they will be able to do it.
Right. All very exciting information for sure. Looking forward to all of that.
Yes. So moving on, there's a new convenient way coming for you to navigate the Disney parks, at least at Walt Disney World, and that is called Magic Mobile Service. So what is Magic Mobile Service?
I don't know. Do tell.
Well, let's go to the Disney Parks blog because they'll help explain it to us. They say, launching in phases starting later this year, Disney Magic Mobile Service is a convenient and contactless way to access Magic Band-like features in the theme park entry through the power of your own iPhone or Apple Watch or other smart device. Guests will be able to create a Disney Magic Mobile Pass through the My Disney Experience app and add it to their smart device's digital wallet.
Now it works. They say it works like magic. Most features will be available by just holding up your smart device near an access point, just like you did with your Magic Band. And the Disney Magic mobile service and its features will roll out later this year on Apple devices, and then later extend into Android type devices and other smartphone stuff. So now you won't, yes, if you can use your Magic Band if you'd like to, but you can also just use your phone, as we've been able to do so many more things with your phone recently.
Right. Yes. For a while now, but I know that right now in particular, they've really been promoting your phone use to open your resort door. And like I said, that's been around for a couple of years now, but it seems like they really are pushing it now and backing off of the Magic Bands. They also don't give a free Magic Band anymore when you do a reservation. They have some that you can purchase at a discount. So I don't know. I don't know if they're just totally phasing that out or what. It's still fun to have a Magic Band.
Yeah. Well, they did say that, at least as of immediately, they're not getting rid of the Magic Band option. You can choose whichever one you want to use. You can use your phone or you can use your Magic Band, is what they say currently. And you can even alternate between the two. If you have your Magic Band with you want to use your Magic Band, great. If you have your phone with you want to use your phone, great. If your phone runs out of battery, you can have that Magic Band with you and you can use that instead. So, are they phasing it out? Possibly. They may be phasing out the Magic Band. Not sure about that. But as of right now, it's still going to be available for both to use either or when you're accessing the parks and when you're accessing your room.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I just thought of a tip I'm going to give. So.
Oh, is that what we're typing over there?
Yes. I had a different tip for today, and I may still say it, but this one just reminded me of something. So,
well, we'll get to her tip in just a second, but I believe Michelle also has some interesting information on some of the food items that are going to be at the Taste of Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival, or currently. We were actually going to post this. We were going to talk about this last week, but our episode again we had two episodes in a row.
Very long,
running a little bit long.
Yes.
So we decided let's skip that and move it to another week. So Michelle, talk a little bit about the food items, because we're always hungry during the show.
We are always hungry during the show, and now we're doing it at the latter part of the show. Doesn't make it any easier, but so just like other festivals that they've had, there are a lot of fun activities to do and some great entertainment. Just wanted to focus on a few things related to the food. Kind of did like an awards type of process of going through. So
is there a red carpet and everything?
There was. Unfortunately, it was last week before the episode, so now we're just the post-production show here.
Here we go. We'll fix it in post.
Right. So the most eye-appealing dish is the avocado toast with marinated toy box tomatoes and fresh goat cheese on toasted ciabatta. And I'm sure
I saw that picture of that. That looks great.
Yeah. I mean, the avocado toast itself looks great. It's kind of standard, but they really adorn it with some beautiful, colorful, edible flowers. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it does shout flower and garden.
It really does. It really does. So for meat lovers, the meat lovers choice goes to the beef brisket burnt ends and smoked pork belly slider with garlic sausage, chorizo, cheddar fondue, and house-made pickle.
Wow.
I know.
A lot of meat.
I know.
Cheese and all sorts of stuff. That sounds pretty good.
So the award for best representation of the flower and garden theme show itself goes to the grilled baby vegetables with hummus cream and red pepper coulis. That is gluten and wheat friendly, plant-based. And it is super colorful. It has, when you talk about eating your colors for healthy eating, this dish really represents that. It's very, from the garden fresh. So it has, the grilled carrots and squash. And when you mix in the adornment of the coulis and the hummus, it's just really colorful and great representation of the Flower and Garden Festival.
Yes, really well done as far as the display there, at least from the picture that we see. One thing they teach us in culinary school is you want to be sure to have so many colors on a plate. You need to have you need to have somewhere around 5 to 7 colors on a plate is kind of what your goal is.
Nice.
You can't have too many more.
Right.
You can't have too many less. You don't want it to be all tan or all yellow. You need it to, but you also don't want it to be so loud that it's shouting out at you in different directions. That is a great representation of the plating they were teaching us in culinary school.
Very
anyway.
good.
Yeah.
Nice. So for the most exciting new dish award, there's a dish called Off the Beaten Path. It is, and I don't usually say this right, even though it's French, profiteroles. I'll let you say it. Profiteroles. With red beet mousse, golden beet pastry cream, whipped goat cheese cream, and candied walnuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that.
So profiteroles are basically cream puffs.
Right.
Is what they are.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really, beautiful. It does contain beets, so it's kind of cool that it does that. And it is, like I said, one of their new dishes this year. And it's also very beautiful. I think they really did a lot. They normally do, but to me, looking at the various dishes, eye appeal was definitely something that they were working towards.
Right. I mean, I think that we've seen that they've been ramping up their game at the Flower and Garden Festival in that regard for the last few years. And I think they're really taking, another step from what you find in the arts festival, essentially. And we know how beautiful those plates are.
Exactly.
They're like, look, we're also the Flower and Garden Festival. We're all about beauty here. We need to make our food look as beautiful as possible. Hopefully the taste will complement the look as well, because sometimes a dish can look beautiful and not taste as great. But, I think Disney has really been ramping up their game, and I wouldn't shock me if these were all as delicious as they look.
Yeah, I mean, we were really pleased with all the tastings that we had at the art festival.
I don't think there was one thing. I mean, there was a couple things that were like, okay, it's okay.
Right.
But there was not one dish that we tried anyway that we were disappointed with at the arts festival. So, yeah.
So the grand returning dish, returning from prior years, is the blackened shrimp and cheddar cheese grits with brown gravy and sweet corn salsa. I mean, just talk about wonderful comfort food, So, and for best returning beverage, they have the Three Daughters Brewing Maple Bacon Stout from St. Petersburg.
Oh, you love that
and
wine.
I do. I was so glad that they have that
over and over again. You love that beer.
It really is amazing. So,
by the way, if you don't know this about Michelle is a teeny tiny thing. Little dainty thing, yet her beer has to be the darkest beer. It has to be the thickest beer. Even a porter, she's like, that's like Coors Light to her. That's not to just, tell you Coors Light's bad.
Right.
But
it's got to be full flavored.
It needs to be dark, but she does like hints of sweetness to it, like whether it be chocolate, whether it be maple, and the maple bacon. That beer is a really good beer.
Special beer.
That is a really good beer. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's just a taste of the Flower and Garden Festival dishes that are out there.
It's a taste of the taste of
the
Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival food. Very nice. Well done, Michelle. Michelle always has interesting stuff to bring to the table, for sure, including a lot of great dishes to bring to the table here.
Thank you. And, obviously that's just, tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of great, really impressive new dishes and some additional returning favorites.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to sampling many of them when we get out there here in a little over a month's time.
Mm-hmm.
We're really excited to get back out to Walt Disney World for sure. So that's it for the Disney Stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And when we do this, we always start with Michelle. One, because she's wonderful, gorgeous, intelligent, hardworking. She has the best food lists. She has the best research, but she also has the very best tips. So let's get to it. Here is Michelle's tip of the week.
Oh, you're so sweet. So I guess I, in essence, have two, because one of them I had already prepared for it. And
here is Michelle's tips of the week.
One I thought of as we're talking about Magic Band. So, my first tip is really talking about, I know this is considered the Women's History Month, And one of the things that I found as I was researching the Mickey and Minnie is that the Walt Disney Family Museum, and they've been doing a lot of great virtual programs, have two that are coming up that are really focused on Women's History Month. So the first one, which is called the Visual Story Time, it's Star Wars, I Am a Padawan with author Ashley Eckstein, who is going to be doing that reading on Saturday morning, March 20th. Well, it's 11 a.m. at Pacific time, so I guess it's afternoon on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And that is a free. You can go to their website and sign up for that for free to have her reading that book, which is such an adorable thing.
Mm-hmm, that is really cool.
It is. And then also on that same day, on March 20th, she will actually be doing a talk and interviewed by moderator, voice actor Brett Iwan, who we just talked about from Mickey Mouse, being the voice of Mickey Mouse. So he will be, talking to her, and the topic being building an empire, creating her universe. And as we know, Ashley Eckstein, I'm really having trouble talking because I think I need food. Created that line, and it's really become an amazing and impressive empire as it's discussed there. So my tip would be to sign up for either or both of those. That one actually is not free; it's $8. So $8. $8 for
and that's to benefit the Walt Disney Family Museum.
Exactly.
Right, so.
And a lot of their they do a lot to really promote the animation industry, and especially young people. They have a lot of presentations for young people who are interested in the world of animation and how to hone in on those skills or how to enter into the industry. So it's really helping for that. And they also have scholarships that they provide them. So definitely a worthy cause.
Really cool. And obviously, Ashley Eckstein, a wonderful entrepreneur, but also, a great voice actress, the voice of Ahsoka Tano.
That's right.
Discussing things with another great voice actor in Brett Ewan, who does the voices of Mickey Mouse, as we discussed earlier, among other things. So that should be interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So go to their website and you can get details and sign up for that. And the other little quick tip I had, and this might not be 100% perfect, but so as we know with the Magic Bands, their batteries will eventually run out. I don't know when that will be because I have some that are pretty old that are still useful.
I always wonder. I always carry like 2 or 3 with me just in case one of them doesn't have a battery that works.
Right. And, we have splurged on a couple that are really cute bands. And so it's, as we're talking, if your band battery dies, you can replace that inner part that actually has the mechanisms or chip.
A little circle in the middle of the Magic Band. Yeah.
Right. And if you look at their decorative bands that they sell, that part is generally not colored in. Not always. Sometimes it is, but generally it's just a color, so a solid color, whether it be, red, yellow, green, blue, white, etc. So if you wanted to, you could purchase one of the lesser priced bands if you're going to do a resort reservation, and they're $5 and get it in the same color of that part in the middle so that you could continue to use your special one.
And you've also done things where you've kind of mixed and matched. So like say it's a red Magic Band with a yellow center disc in the middle, etc. You've taken them out and to kind of complement your outfit. So it's not just one color. It's a variety of colors as you go through. So just other ways to kind of enhance your Magic Bands for sure.
Exactly.
So, good
and
stuff.
Now how to add life to it.
Michelle's tips. Always the best tips.
Thank you, sweetie.
My tip is a really quick one here. I just want to talk about if you have a split stay coming at the Walt Disney World Resort. That's one thing that you can take advantage of at the Walt Disney World Resort. Say you're going for an entire week, and we all know that the weekends can be, whether you're using DVC points or whether you're paying by cash, can be a little more expensive. So maybe you use the weekend days to stay at one of the more
moderates or value resorts instead, and then you move up to a deluxe or a moderate or
Right.
whatever was in your price range for the weekdays when they're a little bit less expensive. So you may want to do that and do a split stay. Well, to make it easy for you, I want to remind you that you still can, even during these COVID times, have Bell Services take your bags from you and transport it to the next
Right.
resort. So you don't have to handle that when you're that day that you're switching resorts. Just pack them up, call Bell Services, let them know. They'll take your bags from you and they'll whisk them away, and will eventually be at your next
That's right.
resort. Meanwhile, you can go to the best way to go between the parks if you don't have a car or you don't want to pay for a ride share service or a taxi or whatever, is to just, go to the park of your choice
Right.
that day, whatever you have a park pass reservation for, spend your day there, and then catch the bus that goes to that next resort. That's the
Right.
easiest way to get there. Once you arrive, let them know we're here. Are our bags here? If they are, they'll bring them right up to you. Of course, you tip the cast members, so
Right.
they bring their bags up to you. But it's a way you do not have to haul your stuff with you. And
Exactly.
just to make things easy, Disney is trying to make things easy as they can with this aspect of it, even during these global pandemic times.
Right. That's a great tip, honey. And it's a wonderful feature, like you said, whether you're doing it to try out multiple places or mainly just doing it to reserve some funds to have more fun.
Yeah.
Then it's really not. It's like you said, it's pretty simple to do that.
Yeah, it's not difficult at all, and they do make it as convenient for you as they possibly can, even with all the stuff going on right now. So definitely take advantage of that if you are planning a split stay vacation in the near future.
Very good.
Yes. So that's it for this week. Next week, well, we're going to do a topic that you have told us you really enjoy. Those are our 5 favorite episodes that include music as the subject. Yeah. So what will this week's magical topic be? How about our 5 favorite transformational Disney songs? So what does that mean? Well, it's always up for, question. You can always kind of decide for yourself what that means. But basically, we're thinking it as songs that are used to show the growth or transformation for a character or a group of characters
Right.
within a feature or a show or whatever it may be. Think of it as like a some of those montages
Right.
in some of the 80s movies or whatever. There's some of those within Disney movies
Right.
and shows that will fit into this. And I think it's going to be another fun topic to go through.
Yeah, I'm anxious to get into this one because there are so many wonderful things out there, wonderful songs that, like you said, show the transformation or the growth of a character, and this will be really fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what all of you have, because again, I think this is another broad-based topic that some people will see it's differently than others, and I think there'll be some really interesting responses to this. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to getting your responses and sharing them on our next show. We appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventurespodcast.com. And while you're there,
We would really appreciate if you sign up for our newsletter.
please sign up for the newsletter. It's just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. We will be putting that topic out there this week, asking for your responses, and there'll be a link right there that you can just hit it. It'll send us an email, and you can tell us what your favorite transformational Disney songs will be as well.
Right. And you can rest assured we don't do anything with your email address except send you the newsletter.
Exactly. That's all we use it for. Another way to be in touch with us is on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We do have a YouTube channel. You can check out some of these episodes on our YouTube channel in a more of a video format. Some will be with us. Actually, you'll be able to see us discussing them. Some are just going to be pretty simple, mostly just the podcast in a video format. But either way, we appreciate it if you watch us there as well. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
We sure love hearing from you. We also really appreciate if you can either provide us with a review or even better, tell a friend about our podcast.
Yeah, the easiest way is just tell your friends about the show. Tell them that this is a show they may enjoy. You enjoy it. They may enjoy it as well. But yes, if you write us a review, we will share it on the air on one of our upcoming shows. And that's another way to help people. Once that helps us find out how we're doing, but it also helps people find this show
There's algorithms out there and other things that we don't understand, kind of like Pi Day, things that we don't understand that will just kind of let people know that if you like a Disney podcast, you might like this one as well.
Yes.
So that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.